Victoria Murphy has been following the news since the very beginning when they got word officially there, 6:30 p.m. UK time. So Victoria, describe where exactly you are now. I understand there are people flocking to Buckingham Palace, just wanting to leave a flower, a note, standing up and remembering through the night their queen.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, when the news was announced this afternoon, I think there was a huge sense of shock. We had, of course, an inkling it was coming because of that statement that was put out earlier on today, but I think there was a feeling that seeing the Queen just 2 days ago looking so smiling in that photograph, this had just happened really suddenly. And I think no matter how prepared you are for a big historical moment like this, and even though we knew it would come eventually, I think there's such a sense of shock here this evening. And what we've seen since that announcement was made, despite this absolutely horrific weather and constant rain, we've just seen people wanting to be here, people coming down here and just wanting to stand still outside Buckingham Palace and just kind of take in this moment, the official residence of the British monarch. She isn't here, obviously, her body is at Balmoral, but the fact that this is a residence, a place that is so symbolic of her and that has been so symbolic of her for her entire 70-year reign, it's a place where people now really want to be. And I think just that sense of being part of this moment in history and being as close to her as it is possible to be right now.
You know, just talking about symbolic moments, I mean, she just celebrated her Diamond Jubilee and tried her best to participate in every part of that moment in time. It's sort of chilling when you think about it, Victoria, right? Because really, that was her final farewell.
It was, and it's particularly poignant when you look at it from this standpoint now, having had this news today, and think about how many people there were behind me cheering, celebrating those incredible shows that we saw in front of the palace for her Platinum Jubilee, 70 years on the throne. And it was a huge moment of celebration, and in so many ways now it was a final farewell, a moment to celebrate her while she was still here. And I think it feels particularly precious now that we got the opportunity to do that. I think over the past year, we have seen come very sharply into focus just how much her health had deteriorated, in particular over the last 12 months. And she had really wanted to do her responsibility. She wanted to be at so many events for her Platinum Jubilee, but she was unable to. She just couldn't do it. So in the end, we had those two very brief balcony appearances at the beginning and the end. But I think that sense of her wanting to carry on, her repeatedly sending this message that she still wanted to be at the helm. And it is very poignant that she was able to, right up until the end, perform her duty, which is what she wanted to do. She appointed her 15th Prime Minister just 2 days before she died. Of course, now it turns out her last Prime Minister.
And what a moment that was for those two women to meet in the room together. Victoria, thank you. I want to also bring in ABC News royal contributor Omid Scobie. So now, Omid, let's talk about what happens next. As Victoria mentioned, the Queen's still at Balmoral Estate, but her coffin is set to lie in state, keeping with historic tradition, of course. So everybody, the public, her people, will have a chance to pay their final respects.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, with the Queen being in Scotland, we do see some changes to what would normally be the protocol at this point. Her body will end up laying at rest at the smallest palace in Edinburgh before it makes its journey on one of the royal trains over to the UK. Of course, we know that eventually the Queen's wish is to have her funeral at Westminster Abbey, which is, of course, an important location for the royal family. But I think what will be very interesting over the days ahead is to see how other members of the royal family join the nation in this period of grief. You know, we have celebrated so many incredible moments with the royal family over the years, the weddings, the babies, of course, the Jubilee in the summer. We now enter a moment where pretty much everyone in this country won't have experienced before. 70 years on the throne is a very long time, 96 years old. There are very few people left that have outlived her. So for all of us, this is a new experience, and I think it will be that moment that we see Charles come into his own to really show us how he can lead a nation through a national period of mourning.
How do you think he will move forward without his mom, without the Queen? How will he be different? How will he maybe be the same when you talk about leadership and appearances and duty? Two very different people, yet many similarities as well.
Very different people, but I think, you know, you can't deny the fact that Charles, as the longest heir in waiting, will have really been able to stand back and observe his mother doing the job flawlessly. I mean, it's very hard to fault the 70-year reign that the Queen has had. We see mistakes made by other members of the royal family, but the Queen has always been very constant and consistent in her duty and the work that she does. And I think that Charles will be very much taking that into what he will then shape his more modern approach to the monarchy. Of course, we know it was his wish for a more slimmed-down monarchy. I would say that that sort of happened already naturally, of course, with the Sussexes leaving in recent years, and of course Prince Andrew being taken out of the working fold. But I think that this is Charles's moment. He's waited his entire life for it, and I think that for him is now his time to shine. It's his time to lead the nation through this period of mourning, but also show us what the king he plans to be.
Omid now. I hear him. Omid, I lost you for a moment there. Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Oh,
it's a
okay,
day
very good.
It's an unprecedented day for all of us, and I think that we're seeing, even down by the palace, you know, we have the world's media there watching now, and of course I think throughout the day for everyone there have been technical issues, but of course everyone is sort of united in that wish to really tell the Queen's story, and of course the story of what the monarchy looks like moving forward. We currently have all the family members gathered at Balmoral. You know, this is very much an important moment for them, but it's also a chance for them to grieve as a family. Balmoral holds a lot of meaning for all of them. Of course, it's the place that the fun summers were spent with the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, the Queen's children. And I think for this moment to be happening there, it's poignant, but I think for all of them, they'll be sort of united in this sort of very special place to share memories about the Queen, and for everyone to be very much brought together in that. Of course, we know Prince Harry was one of the last to arrive. Of course, everyone had to make their way up to Scotland very quickly. And now we know that they're all together, and this is sort of the chance that they have to lean on each other before they step into the public and allow the public to lean on them.
Omid, thank you so much. As we look at these live pictures outside Buckingham Palace, where, of course, we know so many of the people will honor the Queen, her legacy through the night, through the day, of course, for the next more than a week now, 11 days of celebration of life and tradition. ABC News Royal contributor Imogen Lloyd Webber will be a part of that 12-day period as well, of that morning. And as we think about what will happen within the next week or so, Imogen, I just am thinking about all the interviews that you and I have done over the years. Yes, we've talked about her success, where she has broken barriers. We've talked about the scandals that she has had to navigate, right, through her son, Prince Charles, now King Charles III, all the way to Prince Andrew and the scandal he was most recently involved with. She has had to navigate a lot. How do you think she did moving with the times, right? From a 25-year-old that all of a sudden was this icon to so many people, and then for decades upon decades maintaining this sense of duty and getting through the amazing times, the momentous times, as well as a lot of tension, a lot of drama, a lot of scandal too, no doubt.
She was almost flawless. It was really an extraordinary 7 decades of reign. And I think what you're going to see, there is going to be a theme, I think, that you will see in Britain over the coming 10, 12 days of gratitude. We really are so grateful to this woman who swore at 21 that she would give her life to the country, to the Commonwealth, and she did. She was all about duty, and she absolutely led the way all the way to the end, because she has been preparing us for the post-Elizabethan age for many years now, subtly, but she has been doing so. She hasn't been going on long-haul trips anymore. That was going to the younger generations. You were seeing the Cambridges out there, you were seeing the Sussexes when they were still members of the working royal family doing it, and obviously King Charles III and Camilla, they were doing that. She was handing over more and more duties. And for some time now, royal watchers, we have been saying that King Charles, as he is now, was basically doing much of the work, much of the heavy lifting, and really leading the family. So she's done everything she can to prepare us for this moment, but it is still a traumatic moment for British people and also for a third of the world. Don't forget that the Queen is a figurehead to 2.5 billion people. And unlike when Diana died, which was a big shock at the time, Diana wasn't monarch. The Queen is woven in to the fabric of our lives, certainly in Britain. She's on banknotes, she's on stamps, she's on passports. There's going to be a huge shift, and it's going to be a shock to us all, because for us, all we've ever known is the Queen. And it's a bit like the Statue of Liberty going. I mean, there was this woman there, and she was that one constant through all those traumatic times. And she is now gone. She's done her best to prepare her family and us all for this moment. But you will see an outpouring of emotion, I think, in the UK over the next 10 to 12 days. And a lot of people will be moved, and they won't have expected to be moved.
Imogen, from professional poise to pop culture, she really transcended so many generations, right?
She did.
Just put into perspective not only why the older folks, even in their 90s, respected
My granny,
her.
99.
There you go.
Yeah.
Your granny. There you go. Why your granny loved her all the way down to the youngest member of your family, including yourself, that idolized her and thought she was such an incredible woman. Look, she was probably one of the most famous moms in the world, right? One of the most famous grandmothers.
One of the most famous mothers, grandmothers, and also probably met more people than anyone else until today alive. She met millions and millions of people. She was out there on those tours for decades. I think it's interesting, we've all got addicted to The Crown, haven't we? Because we then suddenly see a young queen, played by Claire Foy, and that lured us in. And she has been an icon over decades. She did that often by taking a step back, just making sure that the monarchy moved with the times, but were not ahead of the times. She also was very good at listening and changing course. So remember when Princess Diana died, there was a misstep, but she listened to her Prime Minister, Tony Blair at the time, and the monarchy became more approachable, more accessible. She opened up the monarchy more. I think it's also interesting when we think about the Queen, who she married. She married Prince Philip, who was very much a game changer. It was a slightly rebellious match on some levels, but she was determined to have him there. And I really do think that the loss of Prince Philip last April, although the official mourning ended, obviously she was in mourning for the rest of her life. And on some levels, I think there'll be a relief within the family that she is with the love of her life this evening.
Yeah, they are up on their own personal royal cloud. And Imogen, before I let you go, I just want to point out, as you were talking, we were looking at all these tweets, and you think back, right, to when she became queen.
Yeah.
We've gone from telegrams to tweets. And now you have presidents, world leaders, musicians, the general public flooding Twitter, honoring the Queen. And it's just so great to talk to you with your rich background and your family, and how you have understood and covered and talked about the royals for so many years, including Queen Elizabeth. And I know that we'll be talking more, Imogen. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.